Well, welcome everyone to this conference, to this new cycle of video conferences about how to achieve, how to be successful with the knowledge of ourselves. Well, let's start our conference with the first conference. The first title is Knowledge of Oneself and Goals. Well, many people all around the world probably think that they already know themselves, right? But if we know ourselves, if we really know who we are, we would never have mistakes. We would never make mistakes or commit crimes or different kind of things, right? That's why the specific way, the correct way to start knowing ourselves, which is the fundamental in life. Knowing ourselves is the fundamental in life. If we really want to know ourselves, which is the greatest thing that we could achieve in life, it's necessary to start a gradual and daily process of self-observation. Through self-observing all our inner reactions, we are going to see ourselves exactly as we are, right? We don't really know who we are, right? I don't know if maybe someday any one of you, any one of us has asked yourself questions like this one, for example. Where do we come from? Where do we go to? What do we live for on a planet like this one, right? Would it be nice if any one of us asked ourselves any one of these questions, right? Through the sixth sense of mankind, because the other five work and help us to achieve, to get correct interactions with the outside world, we are going to learn how to interact with ourselves better, right? If we learn how to interact with ourselves better, right? If we establish a correct connection, a correct interaction, a correct relationship with ourselves, the rest of the outside interactions are going to work better, okay? But everything begins with us. Everything, no matter what, right? That's why we really need with urgency to see ourselves as we are. And that's possible when we start deatrophiating this sense, which is an inner sense, and this one helps us to establish correct interactions, to achieve peace inside, to see ourselves as we seriously are, right? So a person that really wants to start this process of knowing himself, that person is showing an unmistakable sign to change, right? The person that is not interested in observing himself, right, or in observing herself with all the different amount of reactions, emotional, mental, sexual, and so on, different type of reactions, that person shows an unmistakable sign of degeneration, right? Because the fundamental in life is to know ourselves, okay? I don't know if you remember a very, very important sentence from the Greeks from probably centuries or thousands of years ago that says something like this. Man, know yourself, and you shall know the universe and the God. This is something to understand in a literal way, okay? This is not a symbolism. This is something to understand in a radical and literal way, okay? That's very important to know. If we want, for example, to know the inner worlds of our Earth planet someday, first of all, we seriously need to know ourselves better, our own inner worlds, okay? If we want to better someday to know the inner worlds of the rest of the planets of our solar system, firstly, we should know our own inner world, and so on. If we want to know the inner worlds of our own galaxy, the Milky Way, it's necessary to first of all to know ourselves in the different 49 levels of the psyche, okay? We are going to start obviously in the level 1. Working with the first level, we are going to little by little go down to the second one, to the third one, and this is something that innerly is going to be shown. So that's why I don't want to bother you with this. I want to insist with something, but at the same time I don't want to bother you with this idea. To know ourselves is the fundamental in life, right? That's very important to know. To understand, to reflect on it, to finally comprehend it, right? Now, all of us, without exception, are made up of 3 different parts. I'm going to erase this information to show you something else. All of us, without exception, are made up of 3 different parts. Probably this is going to be the basis to continue with our own self-observation, with our own self-discovering, right? But the basis, right, is to know that all of us, without exception, are made up of 3 different parts. Number 1, the human machine, right? All of us have a physical body, and we accept we have it because we can touch it, right? This one is made of matter. This one is made of matter. The second part that all of us are made up is our soul or mind. Our soul of man or mind right now is made of energy. And even that we live inside of this soul or mind, we don't really know our own mind. Inside of our psyche, this is exactly the same as saying the psyche, we carry the different ways of being, the different psychological defects, all these subjective elements that govern our inner life, our daily life, right? All of us have defects, psychological defects of all types, right? All of us, without exception, and we cannot deny it, have envy, pride, gluttony, intolerance, lust, and so on, okay? Probably we are starting to accept this reality inside of us, right? And all these psychological defects are made up of energy, right? As we already said, this is our soul or our mind. And the third part that we are made up, all of us, is our spirit or consciousness. Our spirit or consciousness is the true, is the real, is the eternal in each one of us, is our own consciousness. And this one is made up of light. That's why this one doesn't belong to time, okay? This is something that is beyond our comprehension. But anyway, is the part of God inside of each one of us, no matter what, okay? Right now, this one is called the ego, and our entire ego has trapped the 97% of our own consciousness, Within the next minutes, we are going to explain how to release the other 97% of our own consciousness, which right now, nowadays, is trapped inside of each one of our psychological effects, to make the transfer to our spirit or consciousness. What does it mean? That unfortunately for now, hopefully for now, the other 3% of our spirit, of our inner being, of our consciousness, made up of light, is only the 3% of consciousness, right? 97 plus 3 gives us the possibility of achieving, of being successful someday, releasing the other 97% of consciousness to make it the 100% of consciousness. And this is possible through practicing the 4 pillars of wisdom, right? Let's start with something else here. If we practice the 4 pillars of wisdom, we are going to definitely release, this 90% of consciousness that I already said is trapped currently inside of each one of these psychological defects or subjective elements. Probably all of us know something. There is another sentence, very wise, that says, practice makes perfect. If we don't practice, there won't be consciousness. If we don't practice, if we don't change ourselves, if we don't transform ourselves with correct procedures, with objective techniques, we are going to continue being the same as we've been since decades or years ago, right? That's why it's necessary to reflect on all this knowledge and understand that practicing inside of us with correct procedures, we are going to honestly, to seriously feel the change. The 4 pillars of wisdom are as follows. Number 1, science. Well, by practicing, we are going to experience, we are going to know the higher dimensions of nature, of our universe. It would be great, and in fact it's possible, to become ourselves in citizenship, in citizens of the higher dimensions of nature. It's possible through the different techniques that we are going to teach, that the cycle of video conferences is going to teach us during the rest of this cycle. For example, in different conferences, the science conferences, we are going to learn concentration, relaxation, intuition, astral travel, or astral unfolding, which is the same, meditation, negotiation of karma, for example. It's possible to negotiate the karma. Cancellation of karma as well. It's possible to cancel our own karma, the karma from previous existences, human existences, and of the current one, right? That's absolutely possible. And there are for sure more different practices that this pillar of science is going to teach us during the rest of the cycle, right? That is the first pillar of wisdom. Now, the second pillar of wisdom, the art. It's necessary to learn how to create ourselves. The creation of some inner bodies is going to be possible through something called suprasex. This is also called sexual alchemy, okay? Or white tantra, right? The important thing here is not only the name, the correct name, but the most important here is to practice it correctly. When we talk about suprasex, it's only possible between a man and a woman, okay? When we talk about sexual alchemy, it is not possible for lesbians or homosexual. I want to be clear since the beginning, okay? Only between the 2 opposite sex, genders, it's possible the creation of these inner bodies to conquer, to know, to become ourselves citizens of the higher dimensions of the universe, and to, in fact, have real representation over there, okay? What we are going to learn here is to transmute our sexual energy to light the sacred fire, also called the Kundalini, right? Kundalini is the sexual energy going all the way up through the dorsal spine, right? We are going to know what is seriously the 3rd dimension of the universe when we regenerate our lunar physical body to become a solar physical body. To know the 4th dimension of the universe, the heinous paradises, it's necessary to regenerate our aura, right? Probably many of you, or all of you, have heard that term called the aura, or the vital body, that magnetic body, that energy that is surrounding our physical body. That one is called the solar. Okay, it's necessary to become that lunar vital body, the one we have right now currently, in a solar vital body, okay? The mysteries of sex are something sacred, but it's necessary first how to practice correctly, how to apply this sexual intercourse wisely, right? To achieve the correct results. Now, the 5th dimension, it's possible when we create the astral body. We just have an embryo of this astral body. That's why we remember what we dream. This 5th dimension is the region of the dreams, or the zone of the dreams, which is the same. Where we go every single night, as soon as we fall asleep, we go to the 5th dimension of the universe, but without consciousness. The idea is that if we create this astral solar astral body, if we create the solar astral body, we are going to go right there exactly when we want to know that